Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul just got Netflix sued.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson are now facing a massive $100 million lawsuit over their scripted boxing match. Let's be honest, this is the kind of wild drama no one saw coming.
You'd be mad it was free. We all got Netflix anyway, right? And you got to watch the girls fight. The girls fight was good. You know, I know a lot of people were pissed, but it was a bit of a shit show. But you know, what did you expect? Seriously, when you stayed home and you turned on Netflix that night, we were like, holy I'm about to see the greatest live sporting event of all time.
Fans were promised the ultimate showdown, boxing legend Mike Tyson facing off against YouTube star Jake Paul, with Tyson bringing his signature ferocity to the ring. But what did we actually get? A fight that felt more like a low-budget reality show than a clash of titans. After 6 months of relentless hype, fans were left watching a staged disaster unravel before their eyes. And now, furious and betrayed, they're taking action, hitting both fighters with a $100 million lawsuit for what they're calling a complete circus. The fight was supposed to be a dramatic collision of boxing's past and present, a dream match fans couldn't wait to see. They poured their hard-earned money into tickets, pay-per-view, and more, all for what they thought would be an epic showdown. Instead, they got something far from legendary.
Left hook, triple left hook by Paul. He wobbled Tyson.
Mike's hurt. You see Jake Paul land a beautiful jab with right hand first, right there, and knock Mike off balance 2 times. And Mike was highly off balance right there. I don't like how his legs.
But when the fight finally passed, what did fans witness? Oops, it's not a fight, but more like an awkward, overproduced Showtime boxing or circus.
But when the fight finally happened, what did fans witness? Oops, it wasn't a fight at all. Instead, it felt like an awkward, overproduced spectacle, more Showtime circus than real boxing.
I mean, all the people that are, you know, there's a lot of, in Portnoy went out and said that it was the greatest con job of all time. I mean, if you didn't think that that's the way the fight, I don't know what people expected. You know, Mike's almost 60 years old.
And just when this fiasco couldn't get any messier, UFC boss Dana White chimed in, calling it the biggest con show he's ever seen. Yeah, Dana didn't hold back, adding salt to the wound. According to him, this wasn't just a bad fight, it was a straight-up ripoff on a massive scale. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. Between the fake punches, the absurd payouts, and Netflix cashing in on the chaos, this wasn't a fight, was more like a badly scripted reality show.
The $100 million hustle. Yeah, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. This wasn't just a fight. This was a battle between generations.
And what was the deal here? Mike Tyson, once hailed as the baddest man on the planet, walked away with a cool $20 million. Meanwhile, Jake Paul, the YouTuber turned boxer, pocketed an even more jaw-dropping $40 million. And what did the audience get in return for all that money? A big dose of disappointment, frustration, and the gut-punching realization that they had been completely played. It's a real shame for the sport of boxing.
How can this YouTuber beat such a great fighter? Well, X has spoken. The fight was scripted. Everyone is talking about this on X, and the script was actually leaked on X.
Just before the bell rang, something strange started brewing, rumors of a leaked script buzzing across social media like a swarm of mosquitoes. At first, people brushed it off as another wild conspiracy theory. Typical internet nonsense, right? But then the fight happened, and holy cow, the similarities to that leaked script were impossible to ignore.
Opening bell rings, Tyson is showing flashes of his old form, which actually happened. As soon as the bell went, Mike Tyson came out with that head movement, pushing forward. Immediately, he stalks forward with his signature bob and wave style.
The so-called script seemed to predict everything from Tyson's unusually sluggish moves to Paul's perfectly timed combos, and even the exact moment the fight would end. It was as if someone had penned a poorly written play, and then tricked millions into buying tickets to watch it unfold.
In the ring, basically, it's hard to make it exciting. So I couldn't really get him to engage me or slip shots and, do something super cool or whatever. But I don't care about what people have to say. They're always going to have something to say, and that it is what it is. There was a point where, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so I don't know if he's tired or whatever. And I could just tell, his age was showing a little bit, and I just have so much respect for him.
As the rounds went on, Tyson's energy mysteriously faded, leaving the door wide open for Paul to take control and eventually win. Sound familiar? That's exactly what played out in the ring. Fans weren't just angry, they felt completely duped. They spent their hard-earned cash expecting a showdown between two titans, only to get what they called a high-budget parody of real boxing. It was all for show, pure theatrics.
Theatrical stuff that's happening right now. I just want to see these guys fight. I don't care about your car. I don't care about 30 minutes of commercials.
Now, as the dust settles, the big question remains, was this really a fight, or just another chapter in boxing's sad, slow descent into a sideshow spectacle? The truth might be hard to swallow, but it's crystal clear boxing just lost a whole lot of its credibility.
Tyson versus Jake Paul just got Netflix sued.
Fans didn't hold back, and honestly, why should they? After months of hype for what was supposed to be a historic fight, they were tricked into watching a scripted drama unfold. Outrage was the least they could feel, so they took action. They slapped both fighters with a $100 million lawsuit, a legal haymaker aimed straight at Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Jake Paul and Mike Tyson now have been suspended from boxing after a controversial fight in Texas. Now, why, you may ask? Now, I didn't know this, okay?
The claims? False advertising, a betrayal of fans' trust, and financial losses that have left bettors fuming. And it doesn't stop there. Both fighters could be banned from taking part in any future matches. The fallout is far from over.
Netflix is currently being sued over their Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. And it's not because people think the fight was rigged, though I have questions, and that's what we'll get into.
And it gets even juicier. Netflix jumped into the mix, hitting both fighters with a lawsuit of their own. This isn't just a legal battle, it's a public trial of boxing's integrity. Paul and Tyson didn't just gamble with their reputations, they might have completely burned the sport's credibility in the process. Now, the big question is whether this circus act will cost them more than just their paydays. Since the scandal broke, social media has turned into an absolute carnival. Memes are everywhere, calling the fight the WD of boxing, and threads are popping up, dissecting every detail of that leaked script.
Many are upset over the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight, with some people claiming that it was rigged because many people bet a lot of money and they lost a lot of money.
Fans are furious, and they have every right to be. They didn't just lose money, they lost faith in a sport that's supposed to be all about raw, unscripted combat. The audacity of using Tyson, a living legend, as nothing more than a pawn in Jake Paul's cash grab circus is infuriating. Critics aren't just angry at the fighters, they're now questioning whether boxing has sold its soul to spectacle. At this point, we might as well hand out Oscars instead of championship belts.
The whole thing was scripted. The whole thing was just a money grab. And for a lot of us that love Mike, and despite what he said in that interview with the girl about the legacy, we love him and his legacy, and we didn't like what we saw last.
Mike Tyson's performance in the ring that night wasn't just off, it was borderline alarming. His signature aggression appeared in brief flashes, but his movements were sluggish, almost robotic. The once feared bob and weave style that had defined his career seemed like a distant memory, barely resembling the powerhouse it once was.
Testing the beard of Paul early.
And everybody was saying, oh, nice shot by Jake Paul.
Right hand by Paul, that is.
Tyson's stamina, or lack thereof, was raising serious eyebrows. For a man who built his career on relentless power and endurance, this sudden decline felt unnatural. Sure, age is a factor, but was that the whole story?
4 punches around.
Like I said, I don't like the fact that keep messing with that mouthpiece.
Oh, left hook. Triple left hook by Paul. He wobbled
Mike is hurt.
Then there was Jake Paul, playing his role a little too perfectly. At one point, Tyson landed a clean punch, the kind that would have left most fighters shaken. But Paul didn't flinch. Instead, he smirked, taunting the man whose fists had once struck fear into the world. It wasn't just disrespectful, it felt like it was all scripted.
Sad, dude, like because of what Mike Tyson was, right? Like,
I know.
It's sad to see him like that. He should have never agreed to this stupid fight in the first place because it's going to diminish everything he's built.
Why would Tyson, a man with nothing left to prove, take such a huge risk? The heartbreaking answer seems to be money. He didn't shy away from the truth, he needed to pay the bills. Tyson openly admitted that financial pressures played a major role in his decision to fight. The man who once ruled boxing had been reduced to participating in what many are now calling a circus, just to stay afloat. It's a sobering reminder that even legends can fall victim to the harsh realities of life outside the spotlight.
It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah,
20 and
I think
40.
that's what I'd heard. You know, which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight and he was going to get hurt.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
Tyson wasn't just fighting Jake Paul that night, he was fighting his own body, his financial struggles, and perhaps even his legacy. The outcome of the fight only added insult to injury. Tyson walked away with $20 million, but at what cost? His performance left many wondering if the payday was really worth the damage to his dignity and reputation.
I believe that he was making the money he says he's making. Showtime Boxing wouldn't have gone out of business, and Showtime would have made sure they kept paying him.
Meanwhile, Paul's victory seemed almost too perfect. The younger, fitter fighter took advantage of every opportunity, his confidence growing as Tyson's energy faded. But knowing what Tyson had been through, it's hard not to see this fight as a one-sided affair, disguised as a real competition. If the fight truly was scripted, it becomes even more tragic. Tyson wasn't just outmatched, he was set up to fail. And the circus doesn't end with a cash grab. Boxing's newest heavyweight match has now moved to the legal ring, where Tyson and Paul are ducking and weaving under the weight of a $100 million fraud claim. It was a cash grab with stage directions. Now, the fans who bought tickets, the bettors who lost big, and everyone who tuned in expecting a real fight are demanding their pound of flesh and their money back.
Netflix is currently being sued over their Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. And it's not because people think the fight was rigged, though I have questions, and that's what we'll get into.
And let's not forget it wasn't just Paul and Tyson in the crosshairs. Fans were so furious, they even sued Netflix for giving this circus a platform. That's right, Netflix, the streaming giant, got dragged into the mess for welcoming this __ show into their lineup. As if providing a stage for a scripted fight wasn't enough, fans felt Netflix sold them a false stream, just to rake in subscribers.
Tyson versus Jake Paul just got Netflix sued.
Now, Netflix isn't just dealing with a PR nightmare, they're caught in the crossfire of a legal battle they never saw coming. Looks like everyone's after a payout here. This lawsuit isn't just about money, it's about trust. Fans trusted they were paying for authenticity, for raw competition, and for a piece of boxing history. Instead, they got a bad theater production dressed up as a prize fight. Now, both Paul and Tyson are in the hot seat, facing the wrath of a fan base that feels completely conned.
And that is the money. He's getting paid so much money to do this. So that tells me he's getting bored. So again, it is sad that some...
What now? Is Tyson's legacy forever tainted by this scripted spectacle? Or can we just chalk it up as a bizarre chapter in his already colorful career? We've watched this man rise, fall, and rise again, but was this the moment that ruined it all? Tyson, once the ferocious knockout artist, is now the face of a fight many consider a disgrace. Can his name ever fully recover? And what about Jake Paul, the self-proclaimed savior of boxing? He's now drowning in the aftermath of this debacle. Can he bounce back, or has he crossed a line that no flashy knockout or viral video can erase? Let's not forget the sport itself. Boxing's already been accused of corruption, shady promoters, and questionable matchups. But after this, is the sport at risk of losing whatever shred of credibility it had left? Fans feel betrayed and trust isn't easily regained. Is boxing heading toward a future where we see more entertainment than actual competition? It's a fine line, isn't it? Where do we draw the line between creating a spectacle for the masses and exploiting legends for cash? Fans, fighters, and promoters need to ask themselves, when does the sport stop being about the fight and start being about the show?